Leonardo DiCaprio loves this anime so much he's been trying to get it made for over 16 years. It's not every day that one of the world's biggest actors decides to produce a live-action remake of, I don't know, the greatest anime of all time, Akira. But Hollywood, much like every girl I bring back to my place, keeps telling him no. I'm joking guys. They're too busy shouting, pay me, pay me. Now notice I said live action, don't puke just yet. Anime and Hollywood have a pretty abusive relationship, but just like me at 3 AM when I can't get any sleep because my neighbor keeps swinging at his wife, you can't help but wonder, why doesn't she just leave him? But then you remember it's the same reason these exist, for the money. We're gonna get into why this live action probably won't suck balls. So why does Leo love Akira so much that he's willing to put his career on the line for this? What makes Akira the GOAT anime? When did he first get into anime? What's his favorite anime? And why do so many directors keep turning this project down? DiCaprio was a teenager when he first watched Akira, and the dude became obsessed with it. You have to understand that when Akira first came out, the world knew nothing about Japanese animation and basically thought that animation was only for kids. So imagine what a teenager who'd only grown up watching Disney stuff would do if they watched this. He'd never watched anime before, but with just one viewing, this became his gateway drug. The film was made in 1988, but it's set in futuristic Tokyo. After a strange encounter, a teenager called Tetsuo begins to develop strange psychic abilities. So the government tries to lock him up to make sure he doesn't Hiroshima them again. The Matrix, Stranger Things, Star Wars, Inception, Michael Jackson, and even Kanye West all took inspiration from this film. A great example of how influential Akira really is the Akira slide, a move that has been referenced for over 33 years throughout media like movies, cartoons, and even other anime, all making callbacks to this masterpiece. This movie really turbocharged anime's presence all around the world, but mostly in the West. Anime is a lot bigger now, but back then it was hella unknown, especially before the internet. But the beautifully animated Akira was such a hit that it made first-time anime watchers hungry for more, thus generating huge demand and finally opening up the anime industry's legs to the rest of the world. So one way or another, you probably wouldn't be an anime fan if it wasn't for Akira. However, the film is an adaptation of the manga, and since the manga wasn't really complete at the time, they had to squeeze in a lot of stuff into that 2-hour runtime. During my first viewing, I got pretty confused during the latter half. Some things were rushed and some things weren't really explained, like who is Akira? Like who is he? What is he? You know? So despite these tiny problems, is Akira really the greatest anime ever made? I don't know. But it's definitely on the top 3 list, and I believe that every true anime fan should at least watch this once. Now, for the longest time, Hollywood has wanted to make a good live-action anime adaptation. It makes sense why. Anime has a pre-existing market, so there's little to no risk in investing in it, right? No. The chillest human alive, Watanabe, the director of Cowboy Bebop, got so mad at Hollywood producer that he wanted to punch him. Out of all the live-action adaptations made, I've only liked 2. Ghost in the Shell and Inception. Now, don't call me a slut just yet. Let's save that for when we're in the bedroom. I'm a filmmaker, so I really like films with cool aesthetics and settings. My own films have been called the cure to insomnia by my family members, people who love me. So I really like visually appealing films. Plus it had cool cyborg geishas, bro. And also boobs. Now Nolan, the director, was smart about Inception. He didn't package it as a live action. He just ripped off another anime film called Paprika, gave it a few differences and a cool sounding name, Inception. Paprika was created by the legendary director Satoshi Kon, whose works would mostly feature dreams and different realities. He made the masterpiece Perfect Blue as his first film. Paprika was made in 2006, Inception 2010. Let's go through their similarities. They both feature people breaking into other people's dreams in order to help them. They both blur the line between dreams and reality. Both involve a cute female lead and an older gentleman, and both, bruh, these are the exact same shots, bro.
He copied my whole fucking flow.
You'd think that Nolan would at least talk about Paprika during interviews, but nope. Now, the live-action Akira project has been transferred around more than a sex offender priest, mostly because no one wants to direct this movie. Leo may not be a hardcore anime fan, but despite him doing his best to keep pushing for this to get made, every director turns it down. Black Adam's director turned it down, and even Jordan Peele turned it down, and he loves Akira. The pressure and legacy behind this work is insanely overwhelming. Until recently, he got Thor Ragnarok's director on board, Taika Waititi. But even then, because of Marvel's scheduled movies, Leo was forced to postpone working with him for what seems to be indefinitely. You know, this is a pretty interesting conflict for me. As a filmmaker, I know there's nothing you want more than to create and complete your passion project, but as an anime fan, I want Leo to fail. Sometimes it's good to know that even Oscar winners can fail. Ironically, it's really inspirational. For the longest time, I had and still do have a fear of failure. 2 years ago, I teamed up with a very talented artist with the goal of making a comic, in order to win a comic competition that was hosted by a publisher that I'd been reading ever since I was a kid. To be able to have my comic published in the same magazine I used to read as a kid, it was an insane feeling. But also, the prize money was fucking massive. I knew one of the main judges, so I was pretty confident. I had written the script, drawn the storyboards, everything was ready. I was super excited to start, and after 8 weeks of compiling and photoshopping my artist's work into comic pages, we finished it, submitted the comic, and waited. I got an email the very next day telling me that the comic was immediately dropped at the early stages, despite my recommendation from one of the judges. Over 10 weeks of hard work went down the drain. The art was great, but the story was cliche, boring, and the final joke was super obvious. Realizing this hurt, but I learned so much about storytelling from this failure, and I took these lessons and moved them over to my next project. The important thing is to never fail the same way twice. If you do this, then your failure really was for nothing. I think this is why I love Genos from One Punch Man so much. Most people just see him as this walking joke that loses every fight, but whenever I'm reading One Punch Man, I think this is me. I'm Genos. I don't win battles with next to no effort. I get knocked out and sent back to the drawing board. Whether it's with my films, comics, or even social life, there's always a monster I'm trying to take down, and I don't always win. Which is why bullshit plot armor and power-ups really piss me off. Do you really think that I could improve my comic by just working harder? No! I needed to figure out what the problem is, how to improve it, and make sure it never happens again. I need to work smart. This is why I love it when characters use strategy in anime, because that's how you really win when you're a Genos, by working hard but also by being smart. So for DiCaprio, what I say won't stop him. So make that little kid who loved Akira proud and make that shitty movie, Leo. I really appreciate you guys watching this video to the end. You all deserve a sweaty, tight hug. I'm talking rib cage to rib cage, and maybe some other lower things can touch too. The last vid got bombed by YouTube, mostly because it's about this guy. So check it out if you have. It's been your boy Research, and see ya!